Welcome back. Last year, the decision not to list the greater sage grouse as an endangered species was a win for Western ranchers. This ruling was due in large part to the Sage Grouse Initiative, a voluntary conservation effort between private landowners and the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS. Reporter Brian Baxter traveled to Roundup, Montana to learn about how this program works to benefit both wildlife and ranchers.
Back in 2010, the sage grouse population across the western United States was declining, threatening not only their survival, but also that of cattle ranching. With the potential to lose millions of acres of grazing land, ranchers partnered with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS, to find a solution where both livestock and the birds could coexist. Jason Weller, chief of the NRCS, recognizes this partnership as a turning point.
So the relationship we have with ranchers is one of really fundamentally about collaboration and partnership. The only way we're able to operate is at their invitation. So we're invited through their ranch gate, out on their lands, and fundamentally it's about listening to that family, to that business operator. And it's hard to understate what a significant shift this is, not just for wildlife conservation here in North America, but fundamentally the rancher's relationship with wildlife, and how proving out that a collaborative approach with ranchers, engaging them up front in a proactive but positive way, can really change the world.
This common goal of wildlife conservation through practical ranching resulted in the Sage Grouse Initiative. Launched by the NRCS in 2010, the initiative has helped to restore over 5 million acres of sage grouse habitat while maintaining grazing lands across the West.
But what has unfolded over the last 6 years is unprecedented. The scale, the pace, the impact, the quality of what's happened. It's hard to underscore what a significant, huge delivery that ranchers across the West provided. So to date, after 6 years, we have over 1,300 ranchers across 11 Western states that put in place sustainable ranching practices on over 5 million acres of land, just in 6 years. This is unbelievable response from the ranching community. And you have to ask, well, what's going on here? And I think what we have uncovered, what we figured out here, the secret is that really developing that shared vision where you have successful agriculture in harmony with successful wildlife habitat, finding that common link, and that link then is a way forward, setting aside the confrontation and more focus on collaboration and identifying you really can have a win-win. You can have high quality forage and opportunities for livestock that then equates high quality habitat, in this case for sage grouse.
NRCS recognizes that conservation planning can require a serious commitment from the landowner. That's why they work to put into place real-world practices that will increase the ranch's ability to be profitable.
So that's something we have to be really conscious about. A lot of times we're asking ranchers to put in place practices that we hope have a bottom line improvement impact on their operations. And in our experience, that's the best form of conservation, one that has a bottom line impact for that rancher. So it could be about saving the money, reducing their input costs, their operating costs, or it could be improving their bottom line, providing for a better income, better return. Ideally, it's both, so that ultimately you're going to be more economically sustainable and successful. So starting with that site assessment, we then build out the conservation plan, putting in place different grazing management practices, water management practices, habitat management practices that work as a cohesive system that ultimately is going to improve the bottom line, save that rancher money, if not making him or her more money. But that then is going to result in high quality habitat, not just for sage grouse, for hundreds of other species that live in the range.
By participating in conservation programs such as the Sage Grouse Initiative, not only can ranchers improve their bottom line, but they can also protect themselves from the threat of government regulation.
That is what we offer a landowner. If you come in, if you're a rancher and you partner up with us and we provide you a conservation plan, in this case focused on sage grouse threats, as long as you're managing your ranch using that conservation plan, you should not have to worry about the Endangered Species Act. We've worked this out with my colleague, Director Dan Ash at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. What he is offering ranchers is, you sign up with us, and as long as you're managing your ranch according to this conservation plan, you don't even have to have a contract with NRCS USDA. You just manage your ranch. He assures you a minimum of 30 years of certainty. You don't have to worry about ESA, whether the bird is listed or not, which is in essence an insurance policy. So if we're asking you to take some risks or make some tweak in your management and your operation, in return, you get to sleep well at night knowing you don't have to worry about ESA.
To this point, the efforts of Western ranchers and NRCS working together have been a success and kept the sage grouse off the endangered species list. But even with the no-list decision, Chief Weller says the work isn't over yet. There's still opportunity for ranchers to get involved with the sage grouse initiative.
So let me start with first the sage grouse initiative is that we're not done. So we're 100% committed to the ranching community here, not just in Montana, but across the West to ensure not just now, but going into the future, they don't have to worry about Endangered Species Act for sage grouse. Broader than this, we want to build out on the successor for sage grouse. And for ranchers that are interested in working with us, it starts again with that conversation. Reach out to us. So we have field offices across the West where there's professionals in your communities, and these are folks from your communities who are there at your beck and call. They're there to service you and to provide you high quality expertise. It starts with the conversation. Give us a call, drop by our field office. And from there, we can then start the planning process and hopefully start to partner with those landowners in installing high-quality conservation solutions on their lands.
Encouraged by the success of the Sage Grouse Initiative, NRCS is using the recipe of a solid partnership between landowners and federal agencies as a foundation to build other species-focused conservation programs.
So this is an immense success story, and one that we cannot let go of. We actually have to build upon the success here that ranchers have delivered. So what we're trying to do is learn from what were the key ingredients that made this approach successful. And we think we have some of the ingredients that here in the sage grouse country have been successful. We're now trying to apply that in other parts of the U.S. So a little bit south of here, down, for example, in Lesser Prairie Chicken country, we're taking a lot of the concepts learned here in sage grouse country, applying them into the southern plains, into Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado, and helping ranchers there adopt similar approaches, not the same exact approaches, but similar approaches in their ecosystems on their rangelands. So we're demonstrating that when you have that shared vision, but then incorporate this approach where you're bringing landowners and producers in at the outset, giving them positive solutions, giving them some tools, bringing in partners, leveraging high quality science to help us target the right actions, monitoring the results on the ground, and then fundamentally having trust that you have a wide coalition of partners in the agricultural landowner community coming together, starting with that shared vision. You put all that together, it's amazing what can happen in a short amount of time. That I think people are going to be writing books about and looking back at this historic success. It's a different approach here in America for how we do species conservation.
The benefits of conservation planning aren't limited to Western ranchers. NRCS has field offices across the country to help anyone that's interested create a plan for their operation. From Sage Grouse Country, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you'd like to work with the NRCS on wildlife conservation practices, start by contacting your local NRCS office or visiting the website nrcs.usda.gov.